Hello, good evening. Welcome back to another episode of Shooting the Shit with me, Leader Dorset Spur. Today I've got to do a big shout out to our good friend Dean, better known as Big Flange. Unfortunately, he can't be with us again today. He's not very well. He's having trouble having his circumcision done because they can't find the end of that brick. So, no, in all seriousness, poor old Dean's going through a bit of a tough time. So we're sending him our love. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Yeah. Big kisses to you, Dean. Hope you get well soon. So we do have a stand-in. For Dean, and also Mason, as you know, was away last week in Greece, having an absolutely lovely time, and he can't make it either because he's flying back from Greece, and his poor dad's got to pick him up at 3:00 in the morning. So again, we've got a substitute in today. So I'm really, really grateful to have along with me today, as well as my regular friend, Mr. Sweary Alex. Hello, Mr. Sweary Alex.
Evening all.
I also have with me a good friend, Jason, who was with us last week, back for his second episode. He couldn't have been that bad if I got him back again. So welcome, Jason. Good to have you back, mate.
Thanks, buddy. It's great to be here, as always.
Cheers, mate. And alongside Jason, we have Ben. Ben is a good friend from South Dorset Spurs, a regular attendee at the Gilpin. So good to have Ben in stepping in to help out with Mason's vacancy. So, hi, Ben. Thanks for coming, mate. Really appreciate you standing in.
Pleasure, mate. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting into what we do. Love talking Tottenham. So,
good stuff. Good stuff. Anyway, listen, we might as well get straight into it because obviously it's been a very, very stressful and frustrating couple of days after our defeat against Newcastle. So I don't know who wants to start, but I was going to just start off by asking what you thought of the lineup to start off with. Obviously, Solanke and Richarlison were both out. Very, very disappointing. And a bit of a question mark around our training methods, obviously. But the lineup was this as we started: Vicario, Pedro Porro, Romero, Dragusin, Udogie, Sarr, Bissouma, Maddison, Kulusevski, Son, and Odegaard. So, who wants to start? No one.
I'll have a go. I watched it down here. I watched it down in Newtown. Would have been nice if you turned up, Lee.
Yeah, apologies. I was too busy trying to get Oasis tickets. So.
You and me both. Only disappointment of the weekend.
He's lying. He's busy doing his curtains.
Yeah, doing the new curtains up.
So the lineup, I mean, a little bit of worry because we've only just got Solanke through the door. So to see him injured so quickly at such a critical point at the beginning of the season was a bit of a shock, really. He really needs to get himself up to speed again, get on that treadmill, because we need him back. We need that striker, and I think we proved that in the game. The lineup wasn't too bad. I wasn't overly concerned. I thought we were going to be pretty much on the back foot like we have been for the previous seasons. But we went at it, and we couldn't have got at it any more than we did on Sunday. And it was great. And it was great to see. I mean, there was times it was like a boxer on the ropes, but we just didn't score, did we? We just didn't put the ball in the back of the net, and that's where Richie and Solanke might come in a little bit handy.
But I agree. I agree with that. I was just going to ask a question that we obviously had Kulu in the squad. Now I was expecting him to go on the right, but it looked like he played centrally with Odegaard on the right and Son on the left. So it kind of a little bit of a change, and obviously Van der Ven going out. So that was the big changes from that. Ben, what did you think about Kulu playing as the main striker as opposed to Son, which I kind of assumed was going to be the case?
Yeah, obviously it was a surprise, but where we watched him in the pre-season games, and he's played in that position coming in, and beforehand people were going, well, why don't we try him up front? So what do we want? We did try him up front. It didn't work. I think from a perspective, I think Ange was probably looking at it from a different perspective where he had all three, and all three could interchange and go wherever. So maybe that was part of his plan, that he wasn't just set in stone. As we tend to we pick people and we think, oh, he's playing there, that's what he's doing. In an Ange system, it's pretty fluid. So he probably thought, I can change it at any time, mix it up, and that's why he went with it for the start.
Yeah, and I get that, and we have said before on the chat that actually it feels like the players that are coming in are kind of fluid and interchangeable, going into different positions and can play in multiple positions as well. So, I guess that may have well been part of the plan. Alex, just coming to you, just wanted to ask you, what was your view on Odegaard on the right as opposed to on the left? Because he got a lot of plaudits last week for his performance in his debut on the left. Came in on the right this week, taking over from Johnson, which a lot of people were calling out as a problem. What did you think? Do you think his performance was as good on the right?
Yeah, I think he did all right. I think he played all right. I think he settled into the position okay. Made a couple of mistakes, though, didn't he? Sorry, what? Oh, no. Yeah, no. So, yeah, I think he blended in quite well. But I was glad to see Johnson later on in the match play as well as he did, because he looked at one point, looked like he was going to cry because no one was in the middle. But, yeah, no, I think the position suited him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, for me, I did prefer him on the left. I thought he played well on the left. I didn't feel he was as potent on the right. And I felt that when Johnson came in, that did kind of change the game slightly, and we saw a little bit more oomph going forward. So I know it's early in the chat. But I think it's worth talking about Johnson because he has been getting an awful lot of stick of late. And I think last week we all said maybe he's better as an impact sub and all the rest of it. And generally speaking, we said we wanted to give him time and so on. So, Jace, just coming back to you, Johnson, for you, how did you think he got on in this game?
Yeah, I defended him quite a lot last week, and I said there's a player in there, and we talked about the impact subs bit, and I think he proved that on the weekend. When he came on, he had energy. And he was doing replicating what we've seen with Ryan Mason in training. He was getting his head down, putting the ball in, and no one was there to receive that as an end product. And he was doing it over and over and over again. And we got a fortuitous goal on the back of the own goal on the back of his play. So I think going forward, he's going to be more of an impact than Werner ever would be, and has ever proven to be. So I think if he continues with that method, I don't think he can start, but I think he could come on and change the game 65, 70 minutes onwards. And I think he proved that the other day. And it's still early doors, and we've got plenty of these games coming up where he's potentially going to start to shine a little bit more and start to contribute a little bit more. I think he's still getting a little bit of bad press for me. And his work rate doesn't deserve that at this stage, I don't think.
He looked upset at one point. Oh, yeah, a few times. Where he crossed it and there was no one there. And I did feel sorry for him. I felt for him there because he was trying, but they just couldn't put anything together at the end. But if you watch a replay on Match of Day or wherever, you can see he's upset. He's not happy, which is a shame.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. I do wonder, I know it shouldn't impact players seeing stuff on social media and all the rest of it. But in this day and age, with a young guy like that, I can't see how they can't see some of this stuff that kind of gets put in there. Can you? We've all have had kids and stuff like that, and some of us are quite active on social media anyway. Can you see a way that these guys can't see this stuff and potentially get impacted by it?
I think he is being impacted by it quite badly, but Craig Bellamy came out on his defence on behalf of the Welsh squad the other day and said, there's an elite player, I think he described them as. So other people see it and sees it. I don't think our fan base, particularly see it because they're frustrated by pretty much the whole performance, and he's a sacrificial lamb to that. Which is a bit of a shame, and it always seems to be that way. Someone gets picked on, and I'm afraid that's Brennan Johnson at the moment. And if Werner had a few more minutes, I suspect they'd switch fires to him rather than Johnson. So, yeah, And a lot of these guys are, the media trained. They're trained to switch these things off. They've got to. They're professional athletes because they wouldn't turn out each match otherwise. They'd just be degraded into the ground. So it is sad to see. It's sad to read. Maybe we need to switch it off as much as they do.
Yeah. No, I agree. Alex, just for you, you touched on him kind of putting the ball in the box in the danger areas and stuff. And there was a tweet from someone that I saw where they put a picture of him playing the ball in, and no one being there. But he was still getting criticised for putting a ball in without looking. Like in my mind, I was like, put the ball in. I don't care. You put the ball where it's supposed to be. Your attackers are supposed to be attacking that ball. All you can do is put it in the right place. Do you go along with that, or do you think he should have, taken a bit more time and picked the pass or whatever? I'm not sure. What's your view?
There was a couple of incidents where he did pass it and just went straight past the goal, and no one attacked it, sort of thing. I think they've got to chase it instead of asking it to be placed at their feet. If they can see what we can all see, a ball going past the goal, they should go for it. Son took a step back, expecting the ball to come to him, and didn't move towards the ball where he'd sent it. So I can understand that, they want it passed to them, but they've got to make up as they go along, surely. If Johnson passes the ball in front of the goal, which he's done a number of times, and there's no one there, then it's not his fault. It's the others obviously not keeping up, or they're not communicating with each other.
Yeah. Ben, are you able to hear us all right now?
Yeah.
He's down there. Okay. He's below you now. Look.
Yeah, he's below me now. No, we were just while you were out, we were just talking about Johnson, about him being an impact sub and his overall performance. The fact that he's getting a lot of stick in that. What's your view on Johnson these days? Are you a fan, or are you on the fence with him, or are you against him?
It's one of these things. Are we a bit quick to write him off going in impact sub? The kid's only 22, 21, 22. He's still learning, and obviously it's going to take that time to get that maturity into his game. Like you boys were saying, getting the crosses in. It's, as Ange says, always that final third. It's picking the right pass. It's finding the right moment and getting your head up when you should do and when not to, when just to put your head down and put the ball into the areas. So, I think he will. Of course he will. I don't think Ange would have had him there if he didn't think he was good enough or had the potential to be good enough.
So I just interesting, we brought in Solanke, who we know can header the ball, can do hold up play, all those kind of things. And obviously he won't play because he's injured. Same with Richarlison, who, with the best, we can criticise him as much as we want, but we know that he has got a goal in him if he can get on a good run and so on. And again, there's another one who can header the ball and stuff like that. If we've got either of those in that box against Newcastle, are we still losing that game, Ben, do you think? Or do you think that would have been the difference?
Well, it's got to be the difference, Lee, hasn't it? At the end of the day, that's what we're all looking at, isn't it? It's getting that ball in the final third. We dominated the game. We had so many touches in their box. It's actually just doing what they need to do as strikers, is putting it in the back of the net. We didn't have recognised strikers. That's why they're recognised strikers and cost so much money, because they're the boys that just know where the back of the net is. Wherever they are in that penalty box, they know where the back of the net is. So, I think it would have made a huge difference.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I got the match stats up, right? So overall possession, we had 65% of the possession. Possession lost in defensive half, 48 to Newcastle, 25 to us. Possession lost in the middle third, pretty even, 42 to 44. Duels, 110 to 111. Dual success rate, we had 55% of that. Aerial duels, even, 25-25. Aerial duels won, we were 56% of that. Successful dribbles, we had 10 to 8. Fouls, 16 to 13. Offsides, we had 4. And corners, we had 12 to 7. I think the key one in that, in terms of possession, 65% possession again. We had a very similar, if not a little bit more, against Everton and against Leicester. Not turning the ball into the net is our biggest issue, right? And that's kind of where we're kind of falling down. Getting caught on the attack for me is what kind of lost us that game, right? So I just wanted to ask a question about the inverted wing backs and the fact that both of them are bombing on at the same time. I've seen some people talking about maybe when one's going forward, the other one should hold back and vice versa, and they should kind of work that between them. Jace, do you think that's something that would make all the difference?
Well, the defences are. I know we've got problems with attacking at the moment. The defence seems to be the problem. Missing VDV, who normally tracks back and saves us 99% of the time. With him missing, Dragusin did do quite a good job of filling in, but the coverage isn't there. So if the fullbacks are way up the pitch, then we've got Romero, who isn't the quickest, let's face it, and that's where we're getting caught out. But also we're playing away, and we're playing the high line away. So we're not sitting back and then catching people on the break. We're going forward, and people are catching us on the break. So and we didn't have that speed in defence. That's where we got caught out. So are we tactically naive? Is that is that a problem that's come through from previous season and just carried on, or we rely so much on VDV and his speed to save the day on that high line, but we're carrying on playing the high line without him, and I think it's almost, if we can't convert the chances, that's the way we're going to get caught out every single time.
But do you think that it's just not discipline in the back four? Because you watch again when that ball comes over, just as that ball's being played, and it's not played yet, so technically we all. So you look at Romero. If they all stand up with Romero, they got these offside. But we've all turned and we've all started to go back. Dragusin keeps them all onside. Yeah. That ball gets played, Dragusin stays, everyone's offside. So is it a case of those boys being more disciplined in that high line of this is the line we're keeping? Because as people point out, we're little zigzags. We're all over the place. If they're in one line, or that unit line, so your two centre-backs theoretically should be your last two people. The two centre-backs walk up, everyone's offside.
Yeah.
That negates the problem. I think it's just a case of discipline in the back four at the minute.
When that ball went across, though, they all gave up. They just looked at him. I know they were running back, but they were just jogging.
But again, is that the manager's fault? Is that the disciplined way we're playing fault, or is that the players' mental attitude fault?
I think it's the players.
Yeah, it's a bit both really.
Again, that's in the 78th minute or something like that, where we're kind of playing that high line, having all that possession and so on. I saw an interesting comment from someone that said, we're all lauding about having so much possession, but actually, are we playing into the hands of the opposition, whereby they're saying, have all the position,
if we score
because
we're
just going to hit you on the counter.
If we score the 3 goals that we should have scored, so they get one on the counter. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. The issue is in the forward third. The issue is not putting away the plethora of chances that we've got. I wouldn't be able to say that on a Saturday without a tree on me.
Nobody wants to shoot as well. Do you think that's an issue? Nobody wants to take any shots. They want to be so clinical. They want to be so close to the goal to pop the ball in the back of the net. No one's taking any chances. We should be just shooting all the time. I think everyone's getting fed up with saying the word shoot, even when we're at the ground or when you're in front of the telly. They want to be so clinical. By the time we're messing about passing to each other, the opposition, we're all set. All of them are in the box. You can't get round them.
But again, Alex, that comes back to what Ange is saying about making the wrong decisions in the final third. Being hesitant when they shouldn't be. Not being brave enough with the passing. Not being brave enough by shooting.
Was that orange juice, Joe?
Sorry about that, mate. No gin in it either. It helps the throat to speak.
I'm sure it does. But no, you're right. It's like a hot potato, though, don't you think? Nobody wants to take that shot. Nobody wants to support the person with the ball to get him into a position to take a shot.
Totally agree, but that's standard. That's standard. What he says, it's them not being brave. It's them not having that conviction of just taking it on. And we are trying to walk in because it's safe. It's safer to pass it to him and let him fuck up. than me themselves.
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
and
that's what they seem to be trying to do.
Yeah, Big Boy did it run away. It's
one stat.
Frustrating.
There's one stat we're forgetting, though, that our right wing back has the most shots out of anyone on the team. Porro.
Yeah,
we're forgetting that. So he's so far up the pitch that he's the one that's shooting, not Sonny, not Wilson Odebear or anybody like that. It's our right wing back that's got his chip leader on shooting.
Last couple of games, he's been so pumped up.
To be fair to Odebear, he's only played 2 games.
I get that, but he's if you hadn't shinned it and you headed that opportunity, then we would have been in a different position altogether. Yeah. But Porro is our shooting boots. He is the one that's having a go, and they're lining him up for a shot every single time, whether that be from a corner or through general attacking play. And the Kulus, the Sonnies, the Wilson Odebears, and Basuma and Madison, they're all behind him. They're all in the stats. So maybe he needs to be centre forward. Who knows? You know what I mean? So
I think as well, we're missing out on the fact that Romero has also had a couple of opportunities in that game as well from defensive positions. Right? And I guess I just want to come back onto the point about that Ben's making about the defence, and I absolutely get that. I've seen that as well when we looked at that. If they just stepped forward one step, then everyone would have been offside, and actually it wouldn't have stood anyway. But in terms of getting back, we have relied on Van der Ven. I don't think anybody is going to be as quick as Van der Ven, right? Overall, I thought Dragusin had a decent game. I thought he did well coming in, and bearing in mind how much he's played in comparison to maybe Van der Ven and Romero and stuff. He's still got a bit of catching up to do. And I guess to give you Doggy a little bit of a credit as well, like the guy is coming back from an injury and so on. But for me, the one I was more annoyed about. And I said this in the video that I did early on yesterday. What I was annoyed about was the fact that Romero came flying out for the first goal. He came flying out after Udogie gave away a really needless free kick that then put the pressure on us after us being all over him. He came running out to win the ball, pressing high, pushing it on. And had he done that, had he won it, great, we're on the offensive. But actually, when he didn't win it, the ball was played back in the other direction, and he was just jogging back, expecting that those who were filling in for him to actually fill in. Now, as a potential captain or vice captain, whatever you want to call it, I would expect him to be breaking his neck to get back there to make that tackle because that came from him missing, getting played away. So I wanted him to come airing back from that. And this thing of people with their hands behind their back and turning away from it and so on, leaving I can't think who Harvey Barnes free. And I had a free hit, to be honest with you. That was the one that really annoyed me more than the actual one sort of late on in the game that kind of won it. So I just wonder, are we just using our defenders too offensively in an away game where the game is on an edge? No, if we're 3-0 up, fine, right? I get it. But when it's 1-1 and a lucky 1-1 at that, really you should be looking to hold on to that in some way and maybe making a little tweak there. And Ange just doesn't seem to do that.
But again, it's one of those things, though, Lee. If we put everybody behind the ball in the last few minutes, go back to a Conte way, and we let one in, everyone goes, well, why didn't we just go for it?
Yeah.
Why didn't we carry on? We had this. We were on the ascendancy. Why didn't we carry on? So it's really a sort of no-win. I don't think you can get away with the fact that Romero had a bad game. I don't think it was one of his better games against Newcastle. But then you've got to remember, last year, VDV had a shocker there.
Yeah.
So it goes into context. These lads aren't robots. They will have the dip in form or whatever. It just, when it's painful like that and we haven't taken our chances at the other end, it's a glaring mistake. It's more like goalkeepers as well. A goalkeeper can have a worldie. Let one silly mistake and it costs you the game. Everyone's on him. If we score and he lets in that one silly mistake and it's 7-1, nobody cares.
Ooh.
I think he's just putting it all in perspective with the game. I don't think the game was looking at it from a building point of view, where we want to get to, I just think it was quite a good stepping stone. You know, he used different players in different positions. He could see, obviously, he's still testing them out. You know, these are the kids. Can they handle it? Can they handle it in that position? Can they handle it in this? What is my strongest? Because I don't think he knows yet. He'll have an idea, but I don't think he knows exactly what his strongest 11 is and where he can change that 11 with what's on the bench to keep it just as strong for a full 90 minutes. I don't think he's there yet. I think that's still work in progress for him. Yes, hopefully we'll buy some more players in that will fit that system. The other thing is, is everybody buying into his system? You know, they say everybody's got to buy into it for it to work.
What do you think of Ange's body language, though? Do you think he's still quite keen, or is he?
Oh, he looks well pissed off, doesn't he? Let's be honest.
There's
none of that undercover Foster's exuberance about him, is there? You know what I mean?
No. I mean, sometimes you look at him.
Shot Skippy. He is not a happy man.
Sometimes you look at him and he's thinking, "What the fuck have I got here?" Do you know? Did you think he's going to be here at Christmas? Dean phoned me straight after the match. He bent my ear about how, you know, possession isn't, you know, he's great, but it's putting balls in the back of the net that you know, obviously gives us a good result. And Dean seems to think that, speaking on your behalf here, Dean, but is that Ange will not be with us for much longer.
Let's hold that thought. Let's hold that thought. Hold on, let's hold that thought for a minute, because I do want to talk about Ange.
I'd just like to say I'm getting on a bit, Lee, so I don't hold thoughts for long. All right, so just.
I'm writing things down. Look.
Listen, I've collected a load of different views that I've seen people putting out. So, and that is one of the themes around it. So, I do want to talk about that. Before I do that, I did want to. Mason sent me in a text because he's travelling. So I just want to quickly read out his text, and then we can get any views on that, and then we will then talk about Ange. He says to me, Lee, in my absence, I want you to take a message from me to announce on the podcast. So, Johnson, since coming on, was electric. He provided a goal which Dan Burn turned in and consistently beat his man since coming on. He's becoming a scapegoat since Højbjerg left. Even that we lost, that was not the fault of the squad, but was another fault of injury. All over my Twitter space, I've been complaining about the medical department and how many injuries we've had. Man United and Arsenal sacked their medical department and saw improvements the season after. Why can't we do the same? It's been an issue for years now, and no player cannot go uninjured. But the fact Solanke did miss a game for the whole season last season, but missed 3 games in his first career is shameful. The issue has to be what they're doing in the training or what the medical staff are doing in terms of looking after the players. With Van der Ven, we win that game. So I did say to Mason, I would definitely read that out because I thought there's a couple of interesting points in there. I know we've already talked about Johnson, but I wanted to ask a question about the injury scenario because it does almost feel like we are cursed. I'm wondering if there is a Red Indian burial ground in White Hart Lane and they've built on top of it and we are under some kind of spell because, like he says in there,
in the medical team.
Solanke didn't get injured at all last season. He comes in, he's out for a game. Did he miss this game because they're saving him for the North London derby and wanted to give him enough time to recover? Or do we just think that whatever we're doing in training is creating this problem for people? Jace, what do you think?
I think Solanke, I heard that Solanke was almost ready to go for the last game. And that then points into the direction of looking after him for the North London derby. So I think if players are close, he wants to be at maximum strength for that game. That will set the tempo for pretty much the rest of the season, certainly early on the season. So I think there's a little bit of holding back. But our medical history goes back years of, you know, Darren Anderton's a great example, I think, probably, of our medical department. And I don't think it's probably changed that much. But yeah, they've got to train hard to play hard. And if they're playing to a high line all the time and pressing, and not really taking much time out, then I think that's probably why the injuries are coming up so frequent. But I think Richie's was a hangover from last season as well. I remember he was injured for quite long periods, and for a period during the summer, if I recall.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, Jess, when you said a hangover from last season, I thought that must have been hell of a drink.
Yeah, no, we all need that sometimes, don't we? But I'm just, is it down to the medical department? You think not? This is a professional club that has all the best facilities in the world could offer. But the players get injured. That's life, and all it does is expose the depth of the squad.
Yeah.
When these situations come up, and certainly when we lost Maddison and VDV during that period last year, just a couple of players and a couple of through suspensions. The depth is then what comes into question rather than the medical department for me.
Yeah, and is that why we've got players that are supposedly versatile to cover all of these positions? I still don't think we're there. I still think there's a fair few spaces that we need to pick up on. I am worried about the striker situation. That we're bringing in Solanke with a backup of Richarlison, and Richarlison's straight out again, and that's really disappointing. And Son is not a striker, so I wonder about Lancashire, but I think even he's injured. So
he is.
So it does feel like a striker's curse, right? Ben, what do you think about this medical department issue? Do you just think we're unlucky, or?
Yeah, I'm in Jace's camp. I think we just happen to be really unlucky, and it just shows the strength in depth isn't there yet. They're three main players though, and if you take Salah and who's the defender at the Liverpool side, what's his name? Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Take those two out straight away. Without the third one, Liverpool aren't the same side, and that happens with all the sort of sides. So it's just bad luck. But these other big sides will have people that can step in. Might not be as good, but they're at the same similar level or not far of a drop off. Where if we bring our subs in, there seems to be quite a drop off in the level, and that's sort of what we're trying to address, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I agree. Alex, I'll give you the last opportunity to speak on this. Since Mason put it forward, I don't know if he spoke to you about it.
No. Well, he keeps phoning me every day. He's meant to be on holiday, but there you go.
He misses his dad.
Yeah, he missed me when I don't turn up tomorrow morning at 3:00. But anyway, I kind of disagree. I think if you're training, they're there to train. They shouldn't be breaking them in training. That's what are they doing in the training session? And also, I mean, can we believe the medical team? I mean, obviously, Ange has got to listen to the medical staff to say, yeah, he's fit or no, he's not fit. But I just can't see how they can be breaking their players in training sessions, at the beginning of the season where we need to hit the ground running and get as many points as possible instead of making it a struggle again through someone's decision. I mean,
do the players have a say in this? Do you know if the players have a say? Because if someone said to me, "Oh yeah, you're not really fit," and I know myself I'm 100% fit, you go to Ange and go, "That's a load of bollocks. I'm fine."
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you'd like to think they would, but again, I think the line draws with, I'm a medical staff. I know things that you don't. I don't think that you're ready, and
but they don't play football.
Because they're such an expensive asset. They've got to listen to the medical staff, but hopefully the medical staff get it right all the time. But it just seems a bit strange or annoying, that our key players that we need are going down every week. Who knows what's going to happen before the North London derby?
Yes,
are they going to train that hard that all the players are going to be injured? They should be even looking at the training methods or the training facilities, which is unlikely, or the medical staff, because somewhere along the line, it's causing a problem.
I can't see that this is related to specifically to training, right? And the reason why I say that is because this issue of injuries goes back time and time and time again over different managers with different training methods, different support staff, and all the rest of it. So I can't believe that it's to do with how we train. I just don't buy into that. And I kind of agree. I don't think the medical staff would say someone's not injured if they are. They can't say that they are injured if they're not injured. I think like you said, expensive asset, worth a lot of money, can't afford to maybe insurance or whatever it is to do. You've got the person you've got to consider and so on. And I do think this is a bit of a controversial thing, but I do think, people these days are a lot softer in terms of how they are. They're more concerned about their health and how they look after themselves, and they should be. I'm not saying they shouldn't be. When you consider, there was players years ago that would go and play, just give them an injection all the time, and they'd keep on playing, and then they suffer the consequences of that in later life, which is obviously not something that we would want. So, yeah.
But one last thing, though. I mean, they are like Jay said, they are athletes. They are like a finely tuned engine sort of thing, But if they're not warming up correctly, I mean, when you watch them on the social media about their facilities, and you see them on their bikes just pedaling away, or they're just walking on the treadmill, I know that's just for social media show, but if they're not warming up properly, and then they go into the training session, not fully flexed up, sort of thing, nice and relaxed, then possibly that's where the injuries are coming. So maybe it could be down to the players.
You can't think that, surely. I can't.
Well, if you're not warmed up properly, and then you go and play cold, then you're going to be acceptable to injury.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Surely the coaches and that know what needs to be done to get someone prepared to avoid.
Well, the players should know, but until we know what injuries they've got, we can only surmise, can't we? But I just think that it's a bit strange that these highly tuned machines are breaking on the first sort of like as soon as the light goes green. I mean,
I'm putting it down as a curse. It's a curse.
That's why he wears his pants backwards.
That's why I got my lucky pants on every time I do this podcast. Keep your lucky pants on. It's not getting any better, to be honest with you. But there you go. We do our best.
It's going to be a mystery. It's going to be a mystery, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll have to get Scooby-Doo in to come and have a look at it, and I'll say, let's pull it out and see who we've got under that mask. I just now wanted to come back. I did want to come back to this issue about Postecoglou and him as the manager and so on. Cause I hear what you're saying, Alex, about Dean saying that he won't be with us at Christmas, and I've seen that. I've seen that view. So after the game on Sunday, I let myself down and went onto X and went through some of the tweets, and I tried to find a bit of a balance between the two. Right, it took a bit of doing, if I'm honest, but I picked out a few, and I won't say who tweeted them or anything like that, and I'm not saying whether I agree with them or disagree or whether it's right or wrong. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, right? But I just want to read out a few, and then I'll come to you guys and ask your view on what you think of these kind of views. So, and I'll go from one time. So we sack him then. For who? Start again with another project. Let's stick with him and see where we go. Mainly because we've won shit all for years. So why not? One thing that we would change completely, our defensive frailty is having Udogie or Porro drop back with the other is bombing forward, which we kind of talked about. Such a simple fix and glaring issue. Also, the byline crossing works with a centre forward, but we need a plan B, which we haven't got. If we had a striker in the 6-yard box, we score at least one or two more today. Brennan was great, just needed a cooler head for his finish and a striker driving into the box for his crosses. Sonny isn't a striker, doesn't have the instinct. Quite like this one. Ange is the biggest yes man ever, accepting mediocre players and claiming he's been backed. None of our wide players create any big chances, let alone can put the ball in the back of the net against top 10 teams. An own goal is all we had. Lessons from the game is the same as Leicester. If you play the way we do, you're likely to kill the opponents. But if you don't kill your opponent and you know how you play, you're going to get killed. So, again, I think we've kind of picked that one out ourselves.
It's a bit aggressive.
A little bit. This was just after the game, right? So, our defending isn't bad. When we're defending, it's when we're so dominant, we have a World Cup winning line leading aggressor, man machine, who seems to think of fairies and unicorns rather than doing the basics. He revels in when we're under pressure. This one was quite interesting. Beginning to sense some enjoyment taken by Spurs fans when we lose. The desire to be right is stronger than the actual support. He's going nowhere. He's been backed no matter what people think. Levy ain't pulling no plug, and why should he? Ange inherited an absolute shit show, and him and his team have done remarkably well in such a short space of time. He needs time. Rinse and repeat. We saw the honesty from Ange as a huge positive last season, but to keep saying the same things over and over again and not doing anything about it is a definition of insanity. Running out of patience with Ange ball now. It's suicidal, ridiculous high line, inverted fullbacks nonsense. He hasn't learned a thing. He's making all the same mistakes from last season. Naive, stubborn, or moronic. You pick. And the last one I'm going to go through, I'll read out. If we'd given Poch the money that's been wasted since, from the position he was in with that squad, we'd all be talking a different Spurs right now. Poch wanted new furniture and got sold a fake dream by, you guessed it, Levy. We need 3 to 4 quality signings, but hey ho. So there was a bit of a mixed bag in there. I thought it was quite interesting because I was trying to find a bit of a balance, but there was an overwhelming theme of Ange under pressure, and I can feel that the North London derby could be a real tipping point. I don't know what you think, Ben. Are you? I'm going to take a guess that you're still an Ange in man, but are you still Ange in?
Oh yeah, definitely. Again, it's everyone. The Pochettino thing. Yes, we should have backed him at the time, but he'd taken 3 years to get there. 3 to 4 years. So, it wasn't just he came in and all of a sudden it was all rosy. And we seem to forget that. I think it's just, with the Newcastle game, it's just that frustration. All these comments, a knee-jerk reaction straight after. I remember, I've been supporting as long as you, Lee. In the first year I started going normally, going to every game. We were in the then second division. And I remember going to Mansfield, ruling the game and getting beat 2-1. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
And that was the start under Mr. Birkinshaw. So yeah, everything has to be built on. The unfortunate thing is we're just too impatient. We're only as good as your last game, but we expect after one. And I don't think the summer transfer window was as good as I'd liked it to have been. I don't think we actually had a bad window, but I don't think we had a great one. But we expect it all to be just put right in that one window. We start again. Everybody goes, Ange wins something in his second year. That's it. We're going to win we're going to win the league. We're going to boss these games. We're not. It happens. Did we go there and get overrun like last season? No, we went there and we should have won. That's the frustration. Leicester, we should have put it to bed. That's the frustration. But it's not as if we're playing bad. Everyone goes on about our identity, Lee. Our identity is a swashbuckling, go forward, attacking football side. So we can't defend a bit at the minute. But we're getting our identity back slowly. What are we going to do? Throw that away and park a bus again? We've got to give it time.
I guess the point, just one thing I wanted to read because I know that people will say this, right? So I'm gonna put it up, right?
Go on.
This issue about patience, about being patient, right?
Mate, I'm a 62-year-old man. I've seen more fucking rebuilds than fucking Barrett Holmes, all right?
Yeah.
So if anybody's going to be patient or run out of patience, it's going to be me. And there's no joke. I haven't got that many more 5-year fucking plans in front of me. So I want to see us fucking picking up a trophy sooner rather than later. But I'm not naive enough to think it's just going to turn up now,
He'll change his name.
Change his name to Sweary Ben.
Swears more than me.
Reverend Alex. No, listen, Ben, I'm with it. And I know you kind of jumped straight, but the point I was going to make was people go on about this being patient and the fact that we've been patient, like you, 40 odd years in of supporting Spurs, going up and down the country, different games and all the rest of it. And we're fortunate that we have seen some good times, right? But those good times were in the 80s. I know people go, oh, yeah, we haven't won a trophy since X. But the point is, that's like a one-off League Cup here and a one-off FA Cup there. Yeah. We haven't been any good since the 80s, right? And people are talking about being patient because we haven't done anything over the last couple of seasons. It's been 40 years. Right, that we've kind of been through all of that. So just to put my penny worth in, I'm still Ange, right? I want to see success. I don't want to keep chopping and changing managers. I certainly don't want to go back to watching Conte football with someone who doesn't want to be there and all that kind of stuff. That's just my view. But this isn't just about my view. I get that. So, Jace, what's your view? Ange in, Ange out, on the fence?
Yeah, so I'm Ange in at the moment. It sticks against some people, but I really don't care. Having watched the Jose football and the Conte football and a little bit of Nuno, I'd much rather have Ange football than any of those guys. But we have to remember that when Poch came to the end, almost the end of his tenure, he was on about the painful rebuild. And it didn't happen under any of those managers. We didn't really get rid of a lot of people that we should have at the time. And we didn't buy in a lot of people that we should have at the time. So Ange has been backed in a different way, though. We're not buying 30-year-old plus players that are world-class when they were 26 to 30 and showing a little bit towards the end of the careers. We're buying youth that's potentially, going to have a product that's going to be some of the best youth. Bergvall and Archie Gray are some of the most exciting players in Europe. Maybe even in a couple of years' time across the world, they might be just absolutely amazing. So I think he has been backed and invested in youth. And I think the building blocks of the painful rebuild has happened over the summer with getting rid of Deadwood, but they've invested in youth rather than going for these other players that had a bit of a career and just coming to Spurs at the end of it. And a lot of people have said that it's potentially another 12 months to 24 months that potentially we're going to see the benefits of what's happening now. So patience is of a virtue, but it's on an edge for people, and we can see the signs. We can see the grassroots of it, of the high press and the chances created and the shots starting to come. And we proved it against Everton. But when we get caught out, everyone takes a nosedive pretty quickly, and I think everyone needs to have a bit of a Hamlet moment. And if we're in the same position, probably 8, 9, 10 games into the season, then yeah, let's start to question a few of the acquisitions and the manager. But I think it's way too early for that in the season, with the new people coming in, bedding in, and showing potentially what they can do.
Again, I'm with you, right? And you think about the players, right? Which players that we've got in the squad now are, let's use the term shit, right? So for me, that there was a big need to get a lot of players out and all the rest of it. But if you look at the squad now, and I look at all the players, people might go, Archie Gray, just a kid. Oda Bear, just a kid. Bergvall, just a kid, right? And why are we bringing it? But listen, Destiny Udogie had a great season last season. He was a revelation at left back, and we were all excited about him playing. We'd never heard of him. He's just a young kid. Van der Ven, who'd have ever heard of him? If you're not on FIFA or Football Manager, you've probably never heard of the lad, right? And yet we look at him now as an absolute standout, brilliant player. Yeah. So, you look at that. What's to say that Bergvall and Gray are not going to be those sorts of players? And you've also got to
put this one in, Lee. Remember the 16-year-old lad who played in the lad that played for Spain, the 16-year-old kid who played for Barcelona. Yeah. Everyone's wowing. If we said we'd signed him in the summer, would they be going, he's just a kid?
Yeah. Well, this is my point, right? And this is why I was going to mention Lancashire, who's being lauded really well. Mikey Moore, who's getting a lot of plaudits and so on as well. You've got those players that have got to come. We're all talking about him being, the Phil Foden of the future, maybe. And you look at Man City bringing players like Foden through. No one's complaining about Phil Foden now, or what's his name, Palmer, who's now at Chelsea. Great young players who've just kind of broke through quite young and all the rest of it. So for me, I'm still. I don't think. I think we've replaced a lot of players. We've brought a lot of players in that are young, but he's playing those players. You know, Gray's coming in, Bergvall's coming in. They're actually playing games. They're not like your Villiers who came in, who's been sent straight out and so on. Those days hopefully are behind us when we're doing too much of that. So I don't think the overall squad that we've got now is poor. I think it needs strengthening, absolutely. But I don't think we can say that we're doing bad business as such. Not necessarily the business we would have wanted. Because if you look at people talking about Ivan Toney, I know I'm rambling on, but people going on about Ivan Toney, about how we really wanted Ivan Toney and he would be perfect and blah, blah, blah. The guy's going to play in Saudi Arabia, right? So no one wanted him. No one else wanted him. So you know, who's right? You know, Jimmy the bricklayer or the guys who work with these footballers week in, week out and look at the market and look at the data. So you've got to question. It was the same with Eze. Eze's still with Palace. He hasn't moved on. No one else has been in to buy him. So it kind of tells you something, because at one point they were all talking about him going to Man City. So, you know, you've got to trust it, right, and see where it goes. I know I've rambled on, so I'm going to give Alex a chance as well. Alex, what's your view? Ange in, Ange out?
As long as I don't have to sign anything, I think he's going to get more frustrated with the team. I love the way the team's coming forward. I enjoyed Sunday's game, although we lost. I thought we played really, really well. And it's been since he's took charge. You know, we are now playing attacking football instead of left, right, back, right. You know, just moving forward all the time. I still think he'd probably get pissed off and go. I mean, it's a long-term project. You know, he's got to stay with the youngsters, like you're saying. As long as he gives them the minutes to develop their game, then, you know, the team will only prosper. But I don't know, his body language. He's, you know, it's just not right, you know.
Do you think, Alex, he's expecting more of his experienced players? Because we all go on about the kids coming in and everything, but Son hasn't really set the world alight, has he?
Yeah, true.
I watched Maddison in the Everton game. We were all over him, Everton. And you want your creative player to grab that game by the balls, get in the middle of the midfield, orchestrate it, be in control of it. And he didn't. He just stood at the front, waiting for the ball to get to him for a little flick on. Our better players, our more senior players, he's expecting to take control,
lead from the front,
be more leaders and everything. Well, we were going on about Romero, about him being I don't think Romero's a leader in that back four. You don't see him pointing to other people where to go and orchestrating that back four. He's not a leader. He might be a vice captain.
I've said before about our captain, about leadership in different ways, but
we've got a leader in there. Sorry, mate, go on.
I don't know. I might tell you what Dean says about Ange, though, putting his bit in, because he seems to think that Ange has got to realise that he's not playing north of the border anymore. I can't see him being there. I can see him just going, do you know what? I've had enough. I'm off.
So, I guess him going is more likely if there's another job coming up or whatever. I genuinely do think that we were looking at a longer term project. For me,
I just don't like his body language, Lee.
I don't think he'll bottle it though. I don't think he's the type to walk away.
But he might not walk away, but he might just go, look, I can, there's only so much you can do as a manager. It's always the manager that takes the brunt. If the players are not playing, what can you do? Get a cattle prod out, get a taser out, and do something, because they should be playing how he wants. But he's
saying that these are his players, right? He's saying that these players are sanctioned by him because they're the right sort of players. They've done the data that checks that they're the right sort of players. For him, it's all about their attitude, having the right attitude and all the rest of it. And I think there's a camaraderie in the team. It does feel like that. And again, I liked his honesty. I like the fact that he was upfront and clear about what he wants, and he showed a lot of empathy and humanity through the time. And I was impressed by that, and I like the straight talking and everything. I agree with you. His body language doesn't seem right. It does seem frustrated, but is he frustrated that the game's not going in the way he wants it to, and the players are not doing what they're training to do, the philosophy they're using, and so on? Like you said, Ben early on about stepping up when they should have stepped up. You're doing the high line there, and just positionally you've got that wrong, and that leads to that attack. And the same one I said about Romero not getting back quick enough. I would expect that Ange would be wanting him to be breaking a gut to get back there as our key defender in that game. So I think he's more about frustrated with how we are performing. We're doing everything that we should do and taking opportunities, putting opportunities in there, but it's not working. It's not happening. And some luck has got to come.
He's looking at his more mature players to make those right decisions.
Yeah.
You can understand a youngster coming in and not being used to it, and making poor decisions, or the wrong one, or not passing at the right time, or delaying it a bit longer, or should have taken the shot. But when we look at players like Maddison and Son, these are experienced lads, and they're not just we haven't brought them in for a career. They haven't just come off the bus. These lads have been playing in this Premier League for a long time, so surely they shouldn't be. They should have picked it up by now. They've had a season of it.
I think it's a hard character really to break down, because, like you say, he's very straight-laced. But recently, his body language has been poor. He might, hopefully he doesn't go. Hopefully he does stay. It is a long-term project, like you said. But God bless him and all sounds.
To be fair, he looks like me after the missus has given me a good nagging every time. You know what I mean? Just comes in there, just beating it. Oh, not another thing. Go on.
Get it.
I was going to say that. Right? Do you think he's more frustrated with the fact that the three people that he's appointed as his leadership team of Son, Maddison, and Romero aren't up to it at the moment? The three people aren't at the top of their game that he's appointed as their leaders, and I think that dissipates through the rest of the team. Really,
not only that, I totally agree, but they're pivotal on the pitch.
Yeah.
So if they're not looking up to them, or if they're having a bad pitch, and it goes through, it does happen. You can have all three being. Again, it goes down to our bad luck, but all three are going for a sticky period. They should be looking to each other. Those three, come on, pick ourselves up. We're in charge of this lot. We're in charge of these kids. Let's pick it up.
Well,
let's go up.
Let's hope they sort it out for the visit of the scum.
Oh,
yes.
And
we'll all be at that game, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll all go to that game.
Yeah.
It's the one game of the year. Well, one of the two games of the season that I love and hate in equal measure.
It's just a don't lose, isn't it? It's just a don't lose. You could even swallow the draw. It's just don't lose.
No, I'll see you down the pub afterwards. We can all huddle together.
I think we'll have to have several Jaeger bombs before we start that game to get.
No, I want to see it, and I want to stay in the ground this time. So I want to see it and stay in the ground. That's as long as I do those two things, I've had a good day.
Rather than getting thrown out, because just so you know, viewers, Alex got chucked out last time for arguing, and then he got in trouble in the pub. So not a good bloke. Luckily, I don't stand next to him.
Wrong place, wrong time, and I regretted it. So there you go. Never again.
Okay, listen, that's nearly an hour. We've been chundering on. We've had some good therapy tonight, some great views. Really, really happy to have you guys on today. This video will be out at 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning. It will be available on YouTube, and it will also be available on all your audio platforms, including Spotify and all of those. So please do feel free to kind of give us a thumbs up, leave comments, 5-star reviews, all that kind of malarkey, because we're trying to make sure that we're doing the right things and giving you guys what you want. All that's left to say is thanks to Alex, Ben, and Jason for coming along. I really appreciate the support, guys, and we'll see you again on the next one. Up the Spurs.
Go on, Tottenham.
Up the Spurs.